All right, what's up, everybody? I got the next part of my CD collection here. We have more traditional metal. This is going to be the second of three parts, and it's going to be I through ME. I was going to do all of the M's, but there's another bigger section in the M's, so I figured I'd just save that for the next installment, and then that'll be the rest of the traditional metal, and then we'll get into the proto metal section. In the background, if you haven't recognized it already, that means you need to get studying because it's Spellbound by Tigers of Pantang. This is top tier, absolute top shelf material. It gets a little sappy, but I kind of like that in the new wave of British heavy metal. I appreciate the sap that the new wave gets sometimes. And we are actually drinking a beer today. It's going to be Three Floyd's Turbo Reaper IPA. It's a West Coast IPA with a really sick can. Per usual, it's not just records with dragons on the covers that get me hyped. It's also beer cans, so, you know, Nostrovia. Yep, West Coast IPA, a little bready, really good. I've had a couple of them already. Not today, but like a couple in general. Anyhow, all right, so we're going to start off in the eyes, and you probably know right where that's going to be. Maiden, self-titled Maiden record. One of the most classic albums in metal history. There's nothing new I really need to say about this one, besides the fact that I think Transylvania and Phantom of the Opera are pretty underrated tracks. People love Phantom of the Opera, but I feel like that really needs to be up there, you know? It needs to be a Children of the Damned kind of song. As well as Killers, one of them, maybe the better of the two. It really depends on my mood. This is definitely catchier, but the first one has an attitude to it that I really, really like. Then Number of the Beast. Everybody knows this, obviously. This is their biggest album. I don't want to spend too much time just yakking about Iron Maiden here. This is a roached copy of Power Slave I have. Actually, no, it's not. I got rid of that one. This is just a regular copy of Power Slave. This is my favorite Maiden record. I'll spend a couple more minutes on this one because this is just so good. I absolutely love the album cover. It's super, super cool. That might be one of the cooler Eddies, I think. The kind of Egyptian pharaoh ordeal. Very, very cool. Really well made. I would love to score a nice, like, light blue t-shirt of this. I think that would fit really, really well. But songs like Back in the Village, the title track, Flash of the Blade, I really love the instrumental, Lost for Words, the kind of gallop thing that Steve Harris does on the bass during it is really, really cool. It's a cool little transition between 2 Minutes to Midnight and Flash of the Blade. I think it really glues the two together in my mind. All around, 10 out of 10, perfect Maiden record as far as I'm concerned. Another absolute banger of a record. This one seems to be mildly more polarizing. Not particularly sure why. Also one of the coolest Eddies. Useless slipcover that I can't bring myself to throw out no matter how much I want to. Man, there's a lot of really great songs in here. Obviously, everybody knows Wasted Years and Deja Vu, but Stranger in a Strange Land is such a great, great, great song, man. Just it's anthems, man. Absolute heavy metal anthems in the Iron Maiden catalog. Oh, man, dude. You don't beat it as far as I'm concerned, especially this late 80s era. I'll deal with that in a minute. I don't want you guys to have to suffer through that. Next, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. This was my favorite Maiden for a long time. It's definitely been dethroned. Power Slave is the proper answer in my book. But I really do like the guitar synth layers on this. It's cool on Somewhere in Time, but this one in particular gets really, really, really well used. I don't know, man. It just fits well with this kind of like progressive, space rocky atmosphere that they got going on in this record. All around, I think it's really cool. I never really noticed the person inside of Eddie's stomach. I don't know. I don't really get this Eddie all that much. But, you know, it's a great song. It's got like a mystical atmosphere to it. The title track is something that I find very, very catchy. I skipped a couple here, or I think maybe one. I haven't, otherwise I just haven't shown it yet. But Fear of the Dark, great, great one. I think this is the Walmart one. I went to Walmart to try and buy the one that came with the little like tree action figure, You know what I'm talking about? This is probably my favorite Eddie in totality. If you guys remember what I'm talking about, like 5-7 years ago, Maiden did a run of a couple of albums that came with like an Eddie figure, and I wound up not getting that. If I did, I completely lost it, which doesn't sound like me, so I'd imagine I didn't get it, but I don't particularly remember. But this is a cool song, or a cool album. I don't particularly know every song on here. Some of them, this is where it starts getting a little bit more hit or miss as far as I'm concerned when it comes to like every song being really, really good. But there are some really good tracks on here, like the title track in particular. Be Quick or Be Dead is also a great opener to this album. That's a very, very top shelf Maiden songs in my book. Skipping a couple more, this is Brave New World. This is a really great comeback for the proper classic era of the lineup, I would say. Really, really cool album. It's starting to get really long as far as songs go, but like Ghost of the Navigator, The Wicker Man, man, The Mercenary, man, really, really great record. The epic soundscape kind of going on here is really, really cool. Next, one of the worst album covers in metal history is Dance of Death. That's hilarious. That is genuinely a hilarious album cover. It's so bad, so bad. It's very PlayStation 2, and I kind of like that about it because it's a little nostalgic. But songs like Rainmaker on here are really, really cool. Journeyman, stuff like that. Yeah, pretty decent. Nothing amazing on that record, I don't particularly think. Next, my buddy's a huge fan of this one, Matter of Life and Death. I think it's a really cool album cover. It looks cool. But I don't particularly know a ton of the songs on this one. Yeah, I literally can't like say that I particularly love any of the tracks on here, so I'm going to leave it at that with that one. I don't have the Book of Souls just because the opportunity hasn't arisen for me to buy a used copy, and I pounced on it. But I do have Sonjitsu, which is a very cool album in its own right. I talked about this on my year-end list for 2022, I think it is, that this came out. I don't know, that sounds about right. It's got this holographic cover, which is kind of cool, I guess. I wish they would, yeah, I really like that Eddie a lot, too. The inner is much cooler than the outside of it. The outside is this, the inside is this. I think it is a wasted opportunity because... heck yeah, dude. That would have been a banging album cover. I don't know why they put the cool stuff on the inside, but nonetheless, it's pretty cool. I hate the fact that it's on 2 discs. They should have just got an extended range CD, as far as I'm concerned. I remember liking a handful of these songs on here quite a bit, and I don't remember exactly which ones they are, because I haven't listened to it since, to be completely honest with you. But whatever. Alright, so we're out of the Maiden. We're going to go to the second most obvious one, because it's Judas Priest. I don't have all of them. I have a good amount of them, but here's Rock'n'Rolla. A good record. Nothing too amazing on there. I think the song Caviar and Meths is a really funny name for a song, but their version of Diamonds and Rust is really cool. It's a Joan Baez song originally. I don't know if she wrote it originally or if she it's a standard folk song. I don't remember in particular, to be honest with you. But it's a cool hard rock 80s or early mid 70s album. Fine. This is when Priest starts getting to be Priest, which is sin after sin, as far as I'm concerned, dude. Dissonant Aggressor is amazing. But yeah, Diamonds and Rust is the proper version on here. Really, really cool. Last Rose of Summer is also a very, very, very cool song. Really great album cover as well. All around, great Priest record. One of probably my second favorite, maybe third favorite Priest album is Sad Wings of Destiny. The title track on here is a top 5 Judas Priest album, or top 5 Judas Priest song ever for me. So is Victim of Change. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I'm thinking of Victim of Change because there's not a... Sorry. Anyway, really, really cool record. Another great album cover. I have a t-shirt with an all-over print of this, and it's not like the chintzy material, but it's a really cool shirt. Really, really awesome. British Steel. Everybody knows this one. I have this a little bit out of order, so I'm just going to go with what I have here. Everybody knows this, man. Living After Midnight's on here. The song Breaking the Law is on here. But Grinder's also on here, which is a classic song. Don't have to be old to be wise. It's Judas Priest, man. Stained Glass. Pretty good record. I haven't exactly gone like all overboard on this one. Like the song Exciter is very, very cool. Invader, Beyond the Realms of Death is a top shelf song, another really, really great one. But I don't know, I don't find myself visiting it quite as often. This one should have been earlier, but this is Hellbent for Leather. Really, man, dude, the title track on here is another one of my favorites ever. Burning Up is a great song. The song Running Wild, really cool, man. Really, really great record all around. This is 79, I think. Yeah, so that should have been earlier than British Steel. Anyway, I'm fixing it as I go. This is a snoozer, Point of Entry. I'm not a fan of this album. I can't really say I like much of any of these songs in here, than maybe Hot Rockin' might be the only song that's really that awesome. Album cover's stupid. I don't get it at all. But yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and talk crap on it. All right, Screaming for Vengeance. Probably the most classic of all the albums. I would probably put this as like number 4 for me as far as favorite Maiden or Judas Priest records. I'm not very well spoken today, I apologize. Songs like Riding on the Wind are just great. The title track, Everybody Knows You Got Another Thing Coming, man. Just great record. Next, another great one, Defenders of the Faith. Everybody loves this record, as you should. Jawbreakers on here, Free Will Burning, Eat Me Alive, Defenders of the Faith. Some heads are gonna roll, dude. Fist pounding, heavy metal, beer drinking, Trans Am driving anthems all over this one here. Ram It Down, a very polarizing Priest record in its own right. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that amazing, but I really don't find it to be nearly as repugnant as some people tend to find it. The Johnny B. Good cover doesn't need to exist, but it's a thing. You know, it's a cool record. Kind of cheesy on the guitar synth, but whatever. And everybody's favorite Judas Priest album, which is Painkiller. You like this album. Everybody loves this album. This is a perfect album, 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. I don't know which one's my favorite on here. I tend to think Between the Hammer and the Anvil is probably one of my favorite, but A Touch of Evil is great. All Guns Blazing, the title track, dude, all around amazing. That's all the Priests that I have. We got another stack of stuff here, so let's get to it. Canker, with the self-titled like promo demo thing. This is just a random obscure thing that I picked up at a Goodwill once because I saw it and I was like, that's definitely heavy metal, but I don't know anything about it. I mentioned it, I think it was on Heavy Metallurgy I mentioned it, and some guy hit me up on Instagram and wanted to put it in the Metal Archives. Apparently he's an admin for them. And all of the pictures on the Metal Archives are of my CD, which is kind of awesome. So if you look up Canker, you'll get a really good look at this, I guess. But it's like kind of Hellstar-y, but really low production value. Traditional heavy metal, maybe a little bit more traditional metal than Hellstar, considering Hellstar is a little more on the power speed side of things as far as I'm concerned. Next, I don't know if this necessarily should be in this section, but it is. It's King's X with Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. I've listened to this a handful of times, and I think it's kind of cool. A little weak as far as I can remember. I don't remember a ton about it. It's prog, very prog, and metal. There's really nothing else I could say about it. I apologize for my lack of information. I got a bunch of King Diamond here. This is Fatal Portrait and Abigail, 2 of the records that everybody's well aware of, just on like a 2-disc ordeal. Them. Picked this up at a flea market when I was in high school. I almost had, when I was like 18, I wanted to get a tattoo of this house on my arm, like a half sleeve right here of this house. Next, Conspiracy, the counterpart to Them, the second half of the same story. Yeah. Then the Eye, which is like the end of the real classic era for King Diamond, I would probably be able to say. Just concept horror on concept horror. This is a wild one, which is Voodoo. Kind of this weird southern Louisiana kind of tribal drum voodoo scary sounding thing going on here. Here's the first King Diamond I ever bought, which is Abigail Part 2. I don't particularly remember all that much about it, to be honest with you, but I do remember it being the first thing I ever heard. Obviously, it's a continuation of the Abigail story. And then the Puppet Master, which is also a very spooky, kind of goofy story about like a guy, an occultist who like steals people's eyes and puts them in puppets. Very, very creepy. Fits well with King Diamond's style. Next, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, I have some Christian heavy metal from Sweden. This is the album I Shall Conquer by Leviticus. This is a great, great album, man. I really like Leviticus's stuff quite a bit. All of their material is really, really good, though it gets a little sappy a little bit further along. It doesn't fit so much into that regular Swedish style of traditional metal that you're thinking of. It's a little bit more on the hard rock side of things than it would be otherwise. And here's another good one, The Strongest Power. Really cool album cover on this one as well. I like that look. These are like these are the reproduction ones that came with like a card that I got from Boone's Overstock. So if you're ever looking for this kind of stuff, a little expensive, not gonna lie, but the Boone's Overstock's got you covered. I'm missing one of them, but this is Setting Fire to the Earth. I think there's one more after this that I don't have. I'll get it eventually, but this is where it starts to get a little bit pop rock for me, a little bit of AOR creeping in the traditional metal style. It could be a lot worse, but it sounds a little bit more like Europe and Whitesnake than I'd care for with this kind of a band. Next, really good stuff. Thunder in the East by Loudness. One of Japan's finest as far as traditional metal goes. I bought this off of the recommendation of Hammerheart Metal Reviews. He mentioned it a bunch of times in his videos, and I finally got around to actually just buying it. I've seen it around a million times, but he just kind of like pushed me over the edge to actually check it out. It's really, really good. I would highly recommend this to anybody who likes kind of like the Manowar-y, old school, epic-ish heavy metal. Really, really cool. Next, the compilation, the Anthology of Steel by Medieval Steel. This is like an early days anthology, all of the early material from this Tennessee-based traditional metal band. These guys ride pretty firmly in that kind of epic-ish metal, but with like an American hard rock attitude to it. I think it's a really cool all-around mix of stuff, man. I would truly say you should definitely look into this band if you haven't listened to Medieval Steel. Next, I got a couple from Fate. Return of the Vampire, the unreleased. This is stuff from their early days, and this might even have a couple of like tracks from when they were called Brat or whatever. I don't remember in particular, to be honest with you, but it's a 1992 pressing of this one. Everybody knows these. This is Melissa. Not much that I could really say about stuff that's so obvious, as well as Don't Break the Oath. What can a guy say? And then Messiah, which is First Warning. So this is a CD I picked up off of Discogs, not realizing it was only the CD disc. So this is just printed out stuff on the other side, and it's good, man. It's just traditional metal, kind of striper-ish. If that's kind of your thing, you might like this. Also a Christian band, if you could not tell by the album cover. It's very, very cool. I like this album quite a bit. It doesn't hit quite as hard as I'd prefer it to, but you know, when you don't want something super heavy, you want something a little more transitional between the heavy metal and hard rock, this is a really good record. So I'm gonna call it at that, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch y'all later. Keep it greasy.